18 months ago, we applied for my Filipinas UK Fiancé visa.
After rejection, a year-long appeal, and countless mistakes, we just got a call. My passport is ready to pick up today.
And hopefully it has your visa stamp inside of it. In this video, we're going to share our roller coaster journey, the UK visa process for Filipinas, and the lessons that we learned the hard way, so you don't have to.
Let's get into it. Maybe you noticed that my husband has an American accent. Why?
Yeah, it's actually because my mom is Californian and my dad, albeit very British, moved over to the United States when I was young, and obviously I was brought up in the United States.
Okay.
Well, so why aren't we going to the United States? Because I actually have dual citizenship.
First year that we've been together, we applied on a tourist visa in the US, just, because he have worked there. He want me to go there just a few months, but unfortunately, my visa got denied. When he go back here in the Philippines, that's we start thinking applying in the UK or in the US. But we choose in the UK because we thought it's gonna be like a short process.
I did come to the Philippines in January of 2024.
Yeah.
We began weighing our options.
Yeah.
At first, we thought, okay, USA visa, but it looked like it would no matter how much research I did, it was going to be like
A year.
15 months to maybe 24 months or even more sometimes, but probably around 18 months. And in our minds at the time, it was like, oh, that's so long.
And then we actually think about the UK. We do some research and it said it's only like 1 month to 3 months. It depends on what kind of service you choose. So that's why we chose the UK.
Yeah, the UK visa application process has like an expedited service that you can opt for.
Yeah.
And indeed, we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
We went with that. And also my entire family is in the UK.
Yeah.
So I just thought it'd be really nice to have a support system and have other people around. There are 4 primary requirements when you're applying for a fiancé or a marriage or a civil partnership visa, basically family visa, in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
From the Philippines. Okay?
Yeah.
The 4 main ones are you need to prove your relationship status, and I'll go over that in a second. You need to have good knowledge of English. You need to meet the financial requirements, you and your partner. Okay?
Yeah.
And you have to have a tuberculosis test to prove that you don't have tuberculosis, I guess. So let's go over the relationship status. Basically, if you can prove that you've been in a civil partnership for 2 years, not 5 years, 2. If you actually have your marriage certificate, that's a good reason. So if you're already married, or if you plan to marry your fiancé and you plan to marry and you have to get married within 6 months upon arrival. The second one is you must have proficiency in English. And by the way, when you're reading that requirement on the website on the UK, make sure you click on the little blue link. Okay, why should we click on the blue link? Explain what
Because at that time, we're just reading it. We don't click the blue link. And that's our first mistake because we thought that there is an interview. But you really need to get a test to prove that you can speak English.
Yeah, we thought we would show up after paying nearly $3,000, like 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
That there was going to be a real person that finds out, oh, she can basically speak English.
Yeah.
That's not true. You have to prove it. In fact, if we just clicked on the little link, it would say, oh, here's how to prove it. You need to go to a CEFR proficiency center that's approved by the UK and just pass the A1 language test, which apparently is very easy to pass, right?
Yeah. And if you have a college degree and you taught English, you don't need to get a test. You just pass the certificate, like your diploma.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the financial requirements. You must prove that you make a certain amount of money from your employer. So that you must prove that you're employed and you must make at least, I think, 29,000 pounds per year.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you must show that you have sufficient savings, which is the option I had to go with because I was American. Well, I mean, also American. So I had to show them that I had enough savings. In that case, they basically want double the amount. In fact, more than double. They wanted 62,500 pounds in liquidable assets in a bank statement for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So you can't just all of a sudden have that money in there for like the last month. It's got to be like, you've got to show that you have this as a stable asset
Yeah.
for the previous 6 months.
The fourth requirement is the tuberculosis test. You should pass that because if you don't, they will deny your application. That's really important. If you denied on the tuberculosis, they might give you 6 months to, cure it here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
We are going to put the price on the screen, all the requirements we've been paying for.
But just to give you a quick summary of the main costs, other than the language test, the tuberculosis test, those were all relatively minor.
Yeah.
It was basically almost 2,000 pounds, I think 1,938 pounds. And then we opted to also pay another 500 pounds, which came out to about 2,438 pounds, or in right now's exchange rate, around 3,300 US dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. And that expedited charge that they made us pay was actually expedited. Like,
Yeah.
within 3 weeks, we got a response. I also want to note that apparently, we don't know how this is going to affect us yet, but apparently there's also a 1,035 pound per year immigration health surcharge until she's like a permanent resident. So I think you're going to have to pay it for like almost 3 years, probably once you get there. But we haven't had to pay anything up front, so that's worth knowing. Let's just tell you a little bit about the timeline.
Yeah. On January 23, 2024, we submitted our application and paid for it. In January 29, 2024, we dropped our passport in the VFS office. And then that's where we pay our expedited. And what's the other one? The one that you can take back your
We
passport.
paid another, I think it was around $100 in order to be able to take the passport with us so that we could still travel while we didn't know it was going to be really that fast. It was 3 weeks, I think, right?
Yeah. So on February, we applied to Thailand and we stay about over a month. And
we went to Thailand basically because we were waiting to hear back, and we thought this was going to be our last chance before we had to go to cold England. So we went to Thailand. We like Thailand.
And then on February 20, we got email. It says, unfortunately, I got rejected because of two main reasons. They asked the English proficiency and another bank statement. We were told that we have 28 days to appeal of our application, that we're going to pass our extra document that we didn't pass.
Yeah.
March 5, we have a flight back to the Philippines to get my test, the A1 language test. So
Which she passed easily.
Yeah.
One of the other things is they didn't like that my assets were in, I had some assets in stocks. So I had to sell some stocks and then transfer them to a bank account, basically print out another bank account so that I could show altogether that I had 62,500 pounds converted from American.
On March 18, 2024, we paid for our appeal and then we waited again.
Yeah, we were waiting and we're like, oh, I guess this, 28-day thing doesn't really matter. So we decided to take a trip to Taiwan.
Yeah.
That was in April, beginning of May. We went to Taiwan, and then still no word. And then we came back to Makati, and we decided to go where?
We decided to go to Boracay, which is a good thing because the appeal application got 1 year of waiting.
Yeah, they kept on sending us these little updates that says, we're going to look at your application within, a week. And then so we would wait a week after. Apparently that was supposed to happen. We'd write little emails to them, and they're like, oh, no, it just takes a little bit longer than what we say with their automated systems.
Yeah.
And by a little bit longer, they basically meant 9 months.
Yeah.
And then basically it wasn't until January 2nd of this year that we finally actually got an email that said that we can upload the appeal documents.
Yeah.
So it's I basically came back, I got the language test, and I got all the bank statements prepared and everything, but we waited 9 months before they even wanted to look at those documents.
Yeah.
So we uploaded those at the beginning of this year, January, and it wasn't until, again, another 3 or 4 months later, April 29th, that we finally received an email that said,
the application refusal was overturned.
Yeah, it was a little confusing, but it basically said that there are application refusal was overturned on appeal.
Yes. And then it says like you must contact the VFS to drop off your passport. From Boracay on May 13th, we fly back in Manila to go to the VFS and drop my passport. And they said it's because another mistake that we made.
Because we got married after we initially
Yeah.
applied for the whole visa, I thought it would be a good idea to get a passport with her new last name so that she doesn't have to deal with name changes or anything once we get to the UK.
Yeah.
Well, that was a big mistake.
Not really, because we have already a rejection. So I think it's also a smart move because you don't know if this one is gonna get approved, you know?
Yeah, like we applied as fiancés, and we just figured if we have to apply again, you know, it'd be better if we're married. And by that time, 6 months had passed, which we thought was a requirement. And then I thought if we do have to apply again, if our appeal is rejected also, then we'll already be married. We'll already have a... So there was logic behind it, but just FYI, if you are banking on the appeal
Yep.
going through, which is possible if it was just a small paperwork snafu, which it was in our case, then don't change your passport. Because we went there, they're ready to basically stamp the passport, and then they realized that it was a different passport. But we knew that might be a possibility. We had the paperwork prepared. We had a copy of her old passport. We had a copy of the marriage certificate. We had a little, cover letter explaining that we got married, and here's all the identifying information.
Yeah.
And they took that and they said, oh, we just have to verify it with England.
So on June 13th, 2025, we received an email from the HM courts.
Yeah, which is a month later, by the way.
Yes. And we actually kind of like confused what's the email about.
Basically, a very confusing letter that doesn't give you a lot of clarity, but it basically says our appeal was withdrawn. It's like, what? I didn't withdraw any appeal. But I copied and pasted it, and Grok basically said, don't worry. This basically means your appeal was withdrawn because you don't need to appeal anymore because your original request was overturned. The rejection was overturned. Waited a very long weekend.
Yes.
Like all weekends, kind of sweating. And then Monday came around, and even Monday, nothing happened. And it wasn't until Monday night.
We received an email from the VFS. It said that my passport is ready to pick up, but we still confused too, you know?
Yeah, like there was basically no...
Like...
nothing about our case specifically. It was just an automated letter that said... I'll read you part of it. It says, Dear Sir or Madam, the process visa application was received at the UK
Application
on
center.
such and such date.
Yeah.
If a courier service was purchased, it will be delivered to your chosen address, but what will be delivered? It doesn't tell you.
Yeah. The next day, June 17, 2025, we go to the VFS to pick up my passport. We just got my passport and we still didn't open it. I should open it. I'm kind of scared. Like we waited this for many, many months.
Obviously, we're going to have to clear that up, but what is it for?
This is valid for December 13, 2025. We still need to apply there in the UK. I got my passport with a stamp. We've been waiting this for 18 months.
There are 3 main lessons that we learned that hopefully we can share with you, or you can learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
The first one is, like, if money isn't an issue, we definitely 100% recommend just get the third-party agencies that handle all the paperwork and make sure you do everything correct.
Yeah.
It's only about $1,000, but if you want it done correctly the first time, maybe that $1,000 is worth it. Okay?
Yeah.
If your budget is tight, then you can use AI to basically copy and paste all of the requirements from the UK website, paste it in there along with everything that you've already filled out, and it will tell you, hey, by the way, you forgot the language proficiency test, which is what we forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, it's asked for 6 months of bank statements. You only included 2. And part of your assets are in stocks, and it wants cash assets, basically, liquidable cash assets. If I had known that, we would have gotten approved with them because we did pay an extra £500 for the expedited service.
So we are really so sure that we thought that we get it. Like we read a lot, we watch a lot of people applying in the UK, and we thought we got it. But unfortunately, we don't.
Yeah.
So,
And it was because I failed to do the paperwork correctly.
Yeah.
So, like, that's my number one advice. Like, if you're fastidious and you're willing to go through all of the requirements with a fine tooth comb and go through the checklist and read all the blue links, so all the appendices,
yeah.
it's really not that difficult.
Is it worth it to do the appeal?
Now that we know how long it takes, and now that hopefully you guys know, my second main advice, like, if you're going to appeal, ask yourself, are you willing to wait a year? If you aren't, then just reapply, pay the application fee again, reapply.
Because it's not really worth it to wait a year just to,
If you don't want to be in the Philippines,
Yeah.
If you are appealing, you don't want to change your passport. Even if you get married, just hold on to your old passport and do the name change afterwards, probably, because they want the same exact passport that you made your original visa application with. Don't make it complicated.
So if you actually change your last name, beware that's gonna adds up 6 weeks.
Yeah, those are the three main things. Get your paperwork right. Either check it with the AI or hire a third-party agency for $1,000-ish. Second, ask yourself, if you do have to appeal, is this really worth waiting over a year for, or should I just reapply? Okay? And third, don't change your passport if you're appealing, because they want the same exact passport as you applied for.
Yeah.
She has to be there for at least 5 years before she can apply for, like, UK citizenship,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks. But we only have to be in England or the UK for 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the time we get there, it'll be the end of June. So that means we'll get mostly good weather.
We will keep you updated.
Thank you very much for going through this kind of like boring UK visa process with us. We're glad to end it on a high note. We're finally going to the UK, and we're most excited about the fact that we're going to start our van life journey. So if you are interested, van builds, which I plan on doing over an 8-week period, and then eventually us touring the entire United Kingdom in a van, American with a British passport, and a Filipina who has never seen the UK. Never seen snow. So, babe, what are you most excited about?
He go in the UK last year and he sent me lots of pictures. London, it has a beautiful buildings, green fields, like really nature.
Yeah, really huge parks.
And also he sent me like the beach when he go to the beach.
I'm sure there's quite a few areas that we should definitely visit. Please let us know in the comments, like, what are the sort of undiscovered places of England that we should definitely check out once we have our van rolling.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, I'm probably not going to have the thing ready until like the end of September. So it's going to start getting cold. But any places that you would recommend visiting, like for the cultural centers or great landscapes, like, we're definitely interested. And we can go to anywhere in the UK, including Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales. So let us know.
We are very excited to go to the UK and build our van. And if you have any question, drop it below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon.